Hey there everyone, this is History and Stuff here. In this video, I'm going to do a topic that has been highly requested for most of my time doing Countryballs. This is of course an animation tutorial. So, in this video, I'm going to teach you how to draw and animate Countryballs just like I do. And by the end of this video, you should have basic Countryballs knowledge. You're going to want to download the FlipperClip app, which is the app I use to animate, but you can use other animation apps, but FlipperClip is the one I find to be the easiest to animate Countryballs on mobile. FlipperClip is also available on computers, and, I believe it is available on most computers, but I wouldn't recommend it, as unless you have a tablet, it is very hard to animate on your computers with a mouse, for instance, but you can use a computer to do this. So, you're going to want to open up your first project on FlipperClip and name it whatever you want. I would recommend using a frame rate of 12 frames per second to 16 frames per second. However, a good beginner's frame rate is 12 frames per second because it can make your animations look smooth without putting that much framework into it. But you can do whatever frame rate you want, but that's just a tip. Now, you're going to want to get started with your first Countryballs. So, what I do is use the circle tool. I know a lot of people do not say that you cannot use circle tools for Countryballs, and that if you do use circle tools, it's not a real Countryball. But you can make Countryballs however you want. You don't need to follow every single Countryball rule. So, you're going to want to get started with your Countryball. So, start by drawing a circle. Boom, you've created a ball, but it's not a country ball yet. So what you're going to want to do now is make it a country ball. So I'm going to draw Poland, but you can do any country you want. But Poland's a very easy one to do, especially if you're a beginner and want to learn how to make Countryballs. So what you're going to want to do now is stretch out your circle tool and get it down here. And now, you're going to want to get a color up, mainly a pinkish red color if you're doing Poland or any. And then, you're going to want to make it, add your line to the Countryball. And now, just finish up the flag. So, boom, you finished the body of your first Countryball. But here's a tip. If you want to make your Countryballs look way nicer, I would recommend doing a thicker outline on your circle, on top of your circle. So I would recommend making it about 13 pixels wider, the outline. Well, 13 to 15, I would say. And now, draw your outline. Boom. Now Countryball looks way nicer. Now, let's move on to layers. In the bottom corner of the screen, you can add or remove layers. So I would recommend making 2 to 3 layers. Now, if you not really need 3 layers if you want to do a background, but you really do not need to do a background in your animations unless it is a part of the animation. So now that you've got your Countryball done, you're going to want to add the expressions in the layer on top of it. So, you're going to draw your expression like this. Well, you can do any expression, but first time you can do an expression like this. You've now finished drawing your Countryball. Another thing I would recommend is actually making your Countryballs, the thickness of your Countryball's eyes much less thicker than your Countryball's body itself. So that's another way you can do it and make it look nicer. So I'm now going to give you a basic rundown on how to animate your Countryball. So if you want to animate expression changes and eye movements, I'm first going to teach you how to animate your eye moving around the Countryball's head. So what you're going to want to do is add a new frame. If you hold down on this button, you can change the frame option. It's usually set to default with add empty frame. I do not recommend this at all if you want to make easy Countryballs animations, as if you do this, you're going to need to constantly redraw your picture. You're going to need to constantly redraw your picture, and that's not easy to do, for me at least. So I would recommend duplicate last frame to all new people, especially. So now, on your next frame, select your eyes and move them a little bit. Continue to do that until your eyes have moved into the desired place that you want them to be. You can either make very small. I would recommend doing small movements, but that go fairly quick to make a nice effect. But you can do however you want. Another thing I would do for your eyes is if they go off your country ball, go into your eraser tool and make it a slightly thinner pixel rate, and then erase the country ball's eye off the side of its body. However, I wouldn't really recommend to do this as it's sort of harder to make it look nicer. But you can do that if you want to. If you want to make a nice 3D effect, so it's completely optional to do that. So now that is how you make a country ball's eyes movement. Let's see how it looks. Pretty nice and simple for your first timer. So now I'm also going to teach you how to animate an expression change. So to animate an expression change, you're going to want to do something like this. So add a new frame, and then make your country ball's eyes slightly skinnier, not skinnier, smaller. Yes. Do the same until they are very thin. So about here is when you're going to want to change it. So what I do now is I erase them and then I draw a new one. For this you can actually do completely new pictures every time and just erase your eyes, and that does look usually look nicer, but it's slightly more difficult. But I would completely recommend it to anyone who wants to make your animations look nicer. But beginners don't need to do that. So now I've got this started. So I'm going to want to get started like this, and then slightly bold it out a little more. I might redraw these as usually what you'd usually want to do is make a few frames before that and then animate these separately. That's hard to explain. I'll show you what I do. So sometimes what I do instead is instead of doing it like that, what I do is I make a few frames ahead of it, and then I slowly start stretching this out. So you've now stretched. So that's a much nicer way to do it for me, and it's a bit simpler. But you don't need to do that. But I would recommend it to anyone who also wants to make your eyes look nicer, and it's not really that difficult to do. So now let's see how. So that's how you animate expressions on your country balls. To add like speech or text to them, you do something like this, which looks like part of a speech bubble, and then type down whatever you want to write. So that's how you make your speech in the country balls. But now I'm also going to show you how to animate country ball's movement. So for this, I'm going to show you starting at the side of the screen. To animate movement, what you do is add a new frame, and then make your country ball's body a bit smaller and move it a little bit. And then you make your country ball's body a bit bigger, and then put it back to its original size, and repeat the process until it is moved to where you wanted it to, and then hopefully that should be good. What I do is usually animate my eyes separately to the body during the movement. So what I do, so as you can see, so what you just saw is my usual tactic for that. So now it's just a matter of quickly animating it. And then so that's a basic movement cycle for your country ball. This might be a bit faster, but it's very simple because I don't usually put too much attention into the walk cycle. So now that is a basic tutorial finished on your country balls. But another thing you can do is backgrounds. Backgrounds is something that you don't really need to do, but you can do it if you want to. So I'm going to draw down a background. Well, so a simple background you can do, which I've now started thinking of doing, is just a complete line in the background, which adds a nice effect to the animation. But you really do not need to do it. It's completely optional. So with that, I have just shown you how to animate a country ball. That's it. Thank you so much for watching.